Hello everyone. For those that haven't met me yet, my name is Jordan Spangenburg. A little about me here. I was born and raised here in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and I currently still live here in Lancaster with my wife, and we have 4 children. I enjoy running, lifting, just staying physically active, and also just whatever the kids are doing. So right now the big things in my house are gymnastics, tumbling, and baseball. My education, I graduated from Millersville in 2011 with my degree in elementary education. I worked for 4 years in private education right after college, teaching 5th grade. After that, I worked 3 years for the Hempfield School District, and then I currently teach 5th grade math and science for the Manheim Township School District. So my prior experiences with online classes, so I've completed 5 graduate level courses so far, and they've all been online. 4 of those courses were completely asynchronous, and 1 course was a hybrid. I found my courses and professors to be very well organized, very thorough, very complete. Didn't really have any issues at all learning or finding the information or identifying what tasks I needed to accomplish. I do enjoy the ability, of course, as many of you do, just to work at my own pace and my own time. Just with busy lives and just a lot of things going on, it's nice just to be able to complete the work as we have time. So, and then my experiences here with teaching online, of course, the spring of 2020, I taught an asynchronous class of 5th grade students after the pandemic shut our school down. The 2020-21 school year then, I had a class of face-to-face students and remote students at the same time. My remote students were joining my classroom via Zoom. I did feel like I was still able to engage with the students daily, but then the students on Zoom kind of had the same freedoms to work at their own pace on their own time. They were required to be here for the instruction, but then after that they were able just to work at their own pace as long as they were returning assignments in as they were due. I did notice though as the year went on, especially with my remote students, work completion, remaining engaged completely, attending classes, some of those issues and struggles started to pop up throughout the school year. And again, I think part of that just is, being at home in your own comfort zone, lots of distractions, things that you wouldn't necessarily see inside the classroom, and that made it challenging for some students. So from the readings then for this week, lots of good material here as we consider just everything that goes into being an online teacher. So some skills critical for successful online teaching. First of all, the ones that I feel like I have developed pretty well. My online communication skills. I think that I do a good job with that. We use Schoology as our main platform here at Manheim Township, and then also email as well. We teach our students how to message on Schoology, and we also teach our students how to properly write and reply to emails as well. They all have access to their own iPad, so that's definitely a big skill that we hit in 5th grade. Just as they're getting older, learning some more independence, we want them to be able to do that and learn how to do that for themselves. Second thing I think I've well developed is the content and the subject area that I teach. A big thing with that is, as teachers, we have to be familiar and we have to be well versed in the things that we're teaching. We can't be learning things on the fly. We can't be learning things as we're teaching it to the kids, especially as we present it in an online format. Sometimes the material needs to be presented ahead of time and pre-recorded for the students to watch later. So again, we just have to be knowledgeable about what we're doing, what we're saying. It has to be clear for the students, especially if we have kids that are not in the room with us. The big question that we just need to continue to ask ourselves is, if I was doing this without a teacher present, could I be successful? So that's the big question I think we all need to just continue to ask ourselves and just keep our students in mind. Some skills that I think I still need to work with and just continue to develop. Nurturing and engaging all of my students. So students crave the one-on-one attention that they get or strive to get from their teacher. And oftentimes when we have online students, that one-on-one attention can be challenging. And that goes both ways. It can be challenging for us as the teacher, as we're managing a classroom full of students, if we have students in the room and at home. And also for the students as well, they crave that one-on-one attention, but at the same time, if they're not coming to class, it's really hard to give them the attention that they desire. Second thing, along with that, is just their social and emotional well-being. That's a huge part of learning. We focus a lot on that here in 5th grade, just touching on the other needs that students have besides their needs when it comes to learning. So just providing them that social and emotional support. I find that challenging the past couple of years as I've worked with some students online. It's just really hard to kind of engage in the emotional aspect with them without them actually being in the classroom. So those are some skills that I want to continue to develop and get better at as online learning continues to expand and become more of a choice for students to make. Technology skills, so I feel pretty well versed in technology, but as I'm sure a lot of you know, there's always something that we can learn, always something new that we could be using when it comes to technology. Technology is a great tool when used correctly, when used properly, and it's a huge thing for students that are learning, especially in the online format. So qualities and roles of an effective online teacher from our reading. So just a couple of notes that I wrote down here as we were going through the reading. So the qualities that we read through, 5 main things here. And again, these pertain to, a classroom full of teachers and students, or online teachers and students. But we need to be dedicated and motivated. We need to have flexibility. We need to be organized. We need to be passionate. And finally, we need to have patience. So again, with our dedication, we just need to continue to have dedication, be motivated to work with all types of students in all settings. Online teaching, as a lot of us figured out, a lot of it is done alone. And sometimes it's done within the comfort of your own home. So I know sometimes when we're at home, just the motivation aspect kicks in, and there's other things that we would rather be doing. But at the same time, we need to keep our students in the forefront of our minds, continue to be dedicated to them and meeting their needs. Flexibility with online teaching is a huge thing. We need to be ready for technology issues. We need to be ready for student issues that we're maybe not used to having when we have students here in the classroom. We need to be aware that students will be completing things at all times of the day and night. So we just need to be flexible when it comes to just different things, and just understanding that students won't necessarily be working from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. if you will, like we would focus on a regular school day. Organization, we need to be organized, especially as an online teacher. We need to have all our materials ready and available and easily accessible through the online platforms that we're using. And again, we can't be hunting through things and trying to find things as we're trying to teach an online class at the same time. So it's really important to be organized ahead of time so everything's ready to go when we present the information to our classes. We need to be passionate. It's really important that we're going to make connections as soon as possible, and just building that environment of trust and support, even in an online classroom. The students just need to feel like you as their teacher are there for them, even if they're not here in the room with you. And finally, a big thing when it comes to working with students is just having patience. So again, just understanding that there's going to be so many other variables, especially in the online classroom, that are going to pop up that we necessarily wouldn't see in a regular face-to-face classroom. Technology issues, organization issues for the students, just helping students become used to being an online learner for those who have never done it before. So just things that we just, as educators, we just need to continue to have patience with as we work with our kids. From the video then, cyber teacher roles versus face-to-face teachers, several similarities here. So, no matter what, no matter where you're teaching from, you need to be engaging, and you need to engage your students. Okay, the students want to feel just as part of the classroom, right along there with you, even if they're not here in the classroom. Both groups of teachers used appropriate grouping sizes and strategies. Group work can still be done online. And maybe some of you have taken a hybrid type of online course where group work was still part of the course requirements and expectations. And we can still use those groups for our students, allowing them to collaborate and work together. Through my years of teaching, I've found that students can learn just as much from each other as they can from us as the teacher. Giving the students the individual attention they need, again, that's a huge one. Students crave that, and no matter what your classroom setting is, you need to make sure that we're giving those students that need it the attention that they desire. Finally, both teachers need to differentiate the instruction just to meet the needs of our students, whether they are struggling learners or whether they're learners that need pushed and excelled. Differentiation is still a huge part of teaching. Big differences here. So on top of all of those things, online teachers need to always remember that they cannot see or control who's watching or listening to their lessons. So sometimes as students are working, parents, adults, older siblings might be right there in the room with them. So the things that are coming out of our mouths as we're teaching our students, we need to make sure we're accurate. We need to make sure we're organized. I like to use a lot of sarcasm, with my kiddos. They're 10 and 11, so I try to really watch, the types of sarcasm that I'm using. But again, when you're presenting information online, sometimes it's not always possible for people to kind of read the room, read the expressions that you're using. So just make sure the things that you're saying are going to be acceptable for all of your learners. And the second big difference here, online teachers will most likely have more students than a face-to-face teacher. Okay, so they need to be prepared to have larger classes. So again, with a full online class, that classroom management piece, isn't quite as key as it would be in a face-to-face setting. It still is an important part of your job, and just being aware that your class size will probably be larger than you might be typically used to. Finally, online teaching challenges. So 3 big challenges that I wanted to hit on. Time. First of all, online courses, they can be taught and learned, quote, anytime and anywhere. So again, just we as teachers being aware that, especially if we have lessons that are pre-recorded and we don't always have live sessions, students might be logging in and completing our work from any location that they are and anytime during the day. So with that, we as teachers, we need to set clear expectations, okay? We cannot have the expectation that we are going to just be sitting at our screen from sunup to sundown, just waiting for our students to call on us as they need us. So it's really important that we set those expectations of time, when we're going to be available, when we're going to have live sessions, responding to messages and emails, how long that process might take, and just helping the students understand that it's not going to be, right as they send the email. They can't expect to get a response back from us right away. We as teachers need to make sure that we're still taking care of ourselves and just looking at our social and emotional needs as teachers as well. So we need to set those expectations right up front with our students. The content. So, from the reading we saw this week that online teachers, sometimes they don't have the ability to create their own content and lesson plans. So errors and issues are going to occur. And especially if we didn't make the plan itself, it can't be something that's fixed right away. So we just need to be aware, first of all, the content that's in our course, the content and material that we are presenting. And if there are errors, we need to fix them if we can. If we can't, we need to make sure we're reaching out to the correct people to get that fixed so it's accurate for our students. Finally, student issues. A couple of things here to highlight as I wrap up. So first of all, not all students are suited to be online learners. Now, with the pandemic, some students were forced to become online learners, so they had to just adapt, as we as teachers did as well. But just understanding that, online learning isn't going to be for everyone. So for those that absolutely have to be doing it, we need to make sure that we're helping them become an online learner and learn how to become an online learner. Connection issues, I've already hit on a little bit, but again, sometimes it's really hard to make those connections with the kids if they're not right there in the room with you, or if they're struggling to attend your live sessions. So we need to make sure that, we're doing everything we can, just to connect with our students. And finally, it can be more difficult to gauge students' social and emotional needs. So again, sometimes students can just hide behind a screen and act as though everything is well. But in reality, they're really struggling socially and emotionally as well. And, that's just one of our duties as teachers, is just helping them come along and bringing them through those aspects as it pertains to learning. So that's what I found, really interesting, and I was really challenged from our readings and the videos that we watched this week. So again, I hope all of you have a great rest of your week, and talk soon.